Shalom, greetings. This is Moksha. So this is our Tuesday midday motivation. Today, I thought I would just share really quickly um, about how to maintain healthy lifestyles, right? And as I think about maintaining healthy lifestyles, I think about the fact that many of us are, just coming off of a fast. Some of us had makeup days, and for those who are, looking to maintain a certain pattern of eating, a certain pattern of healthy lifestyle, so to speak. Um, it's really important to, that's my phrase, right? It's really important. It's really important to, just consider healthy patterns, and putting things in place or making provisions. Um, and putting those provisions in place so that way you don't find yourself falling back into old patterns. And you've probably heard me say this so many times, so I'm not going to repeat it again. But today I really want to talk about calorie density, right? Because in order to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and when I speak about healthy lifestyle, I mean in terms of what we're consuming and the foods that we put in our mouths, because there are many other aspects to healthy lifestyle. In the West, we're learning now that, you know, health and maintaining health overall should be holistic. And that means that it should incorporate all of the different aspects: the psychological, the mental, the spiritual, the physiological, right? Our physical body should, all of these components make up who I am, because I'm a soul, right? I have a soul and I'm a spiritual being. So those are parts of the self that also need to be maintained. And there are other things that we can do, but today we're just like zooming in on the physical part in terms of what we consume, all right? And what we put into our bodies, like physically eat. And in order to maintain that, I want to talk about calorie density, because I think a lot of the times when we shift and decide that we're going to change our lifestyle, especially when it comes to feeding the body nutrients, we tend to think that, and smaller portions are important, right? Because smaller portions many times is equivalent to reduced calories, but that's not always the case, right? Because if you remember, there was some conversation a couple strongs ago that we had around type 2 diabetes. And so one of the things that is most apparent is that, many doctors kind of say, just, hey, just keep eating the way you're eating, just reduce how much you're eating or how much of what you eat. And so that's not, necessarily helpful, because you're still consuming the same quality of fats. And some of those fats aren't the fats that you need to consume. Some foods are more caloric than others. So even reducing the quantity can still affect you in certain ways, like negatively affect you. So it really makes sense to think about caloric input of foods and how many calories you're getting in. I'm not saying to calorie count. What I am saying is to pay attention to which foods you consume that may have a difference in caloric intake, right? So, for example, I know when the shift happens or the change occurs for many of us who are moving into plant based or raw, or some people opt to identify as vegan. I opt not to, because if I have to wear leather, I will. Um, and that's my stance. That's it, because I understand that, there's a lot that's made available to us for survival, but also to live, right? There, some people are against animals and so on, but yet still, for the life of me, there's certain things that they'll still consume, right? They're against leather, but they'll still consume certain things that are actually uh filthy. So so it's good to be objective, when you you consider shifts and changes that you want to incorporate. So let's get back to it. So again, if you're shifting into, again, from a meat eating or meat eater's diet, or maybe you're pescatarian and you're trying to shift your to healthier patterns of being vegan or focusing on a plant-based diet, make sure that you're not overcompensating, right? Because you find yourself just becoming a carboholic. A carboholic, because carbs can tend to be very satisfying. So once you ease off of meats, you may find yourself going heavy on potatoes, and then you'll find out, oh my gosh, no, I shouldn't be eating potatoes actually. So not white potatoes, so let me try sweet potatoes. So you start going in on the sweet potatoes without actually realizing that it is quite caloric as well too, because the starch content is high, even though they are more fibers in sweet potatoes than they are in white potatoes, and white potatoes can be poisonous, don't eat them. You'll find yourself, try and experiment, right? This is a whole, let's sidestep the conversation a little bit. Try and experiment. Eat white potatoes tonight, right? Eat white potatoes tonight, if you, and observe your eyes in the dawning when you rise. Look at what happens. Pay attention to your nasal passage and the clogging that happens, right? And if you eat it for a whole strong, eat a potato every day, see what happens after a strong. A strong is 7 days, or even 5 days, and you'll actually see how much mucus buildup actually occurs because of the um, the carb density in that type of food. So what I'm saying is, yes, find alternatives, find other foods that can help to uh, touch on the need for carbs a little bit, but you can do it strategically. Sweet potatoes aren't always the best thing, because again, you can get hooked on it, and you might find yourself wanting to compensate or wanting to consume more of it than you need. Another thing that happens is, and I'm saying this so you can look out for it, right? Let me greet everyone. Greetings. I am NB21, and greetings, Hand of God. Greetings. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Um, who is in this chat? I was just talking and glancing, but I didn't see everyone. Greetings, peace, welcome, Chief Yuya. Peace, peace. I will. You are doing well and moving strong. Greetings. Who was here first? Ima Akuya, peace. Sister Naya, peace. Achot Kashia. Thank you all for sharing space and being in the space. I know y'all greeting each other up, blessing each other up. That's good. That's good. That's good. Um, so another mistake that actually occurs is the leaning heavily on things like nuts and seeds and even grain, right? And there are other grain. I know people are rice lovers because, again, why? It's the starch, it's the carb. There's something about it, right? I was actually looking at a clip today, and it said it's sweet, it's good, it's tasty. Oh my gosh, it turns into sugar in your body. Be very careful. So that's another thing to look out for, the cravings that might creep in or creep up, because you'll find yourself wanting to compensate. Someone here says they're guilty. They're guilty of trying to overcompensate and substituting for those carbs. There are other things that you can identify and consume. And I'm not an advocate for eating and consuming green um, fruit so much, but green figs are actually a great alternative, in moderation, of course, because of the iron count. So it's not just a carb, it's not a food that can give you carbs or supply carbs, but it also has a high iron count as well, especially if you cook it in the jacket. So if you cook it in a jacket, this is good, and slow steaming it is always best. So that's one, and maybe you're in a space where it's like green figs. Where do I find that? There are labeled green figs in um your markets, your everyday markets. So look for that. I see pasta. Um, Yeah, stay away from pasta. It's not enough to just say stay away from pasta. What are some substitutes? There are some easy sea vegetable noodles that you can find. They're much healthier. They're much lower on the glycemic index, much less carbs, not as caloric in terms of, yeah, it's not as caloric, so it's something that you could actually eat 3 days out of the strong or 4 days out of the strong. I don't think that they're very expensive. There's another one called glass noodles. These are all sea vegetables that are dried. There are one or two others you may find yourself looking at hiziki. Stay away from hiziki. It is a sea noodle. It's a sea vegetable that really resembles thin spaghetti. It's just that it's really black. It's high in arsenic, so stay clear of it. It may look enticing. Stay clear of it. You want to focus on, and I want us to move away from prepackaged things. A lot of prepackaged things can tend to build convenience, and then you'll find yourself shifting back into just getting what is easy, grabbing what's easy. Um, try to make your own. All right. Try to make your own. But again, those noodles are a great option. I know some people tend to lean toward things like soba, um, buckwheat as well. Those are okay. Those are okay substitutes, but again, they're much lower in terms of calories, but it's not something that you want to consume 3, 4, 5 times as strong or a day, right? You want to, not a day, but per strong. You want to reduce how much you consume. There's a lot of breeze and wind where I am. I chose to sit under a tree, so if you can't hear me, let me know. I could probably speak a little bit louder, so you can hear me if the wind or the breeze is impairing how you perceive me, right? So yeah, I jumped on the noodles because I saw somebody mention pasta, so move away from it. Can you make your own? Yes, you can. You can explore ways of making gnocchi and other um, very interesting pasta that doesn't look like elbows and everything else. Of course, you're going to try to make sure that you utilize a non-wheat flour. Um, Buckwheat is an option, and I say that because you can soak and sprout buckwheat, and you can make your pasta from scratch. It is time consuming, um, but if you make a big batch and again you freeze and you store, you can always pull it out and utilize it once a strong, right? For 2 strongs, 3 strongs. Um, at one point. Zucchini. This is the season for zucchini. I'm not bouncing around because I'm actually thinking of all of the connecting ideas. Um, Zucchini pasta. This is something that I'm going to try to do a demo with pretty soon because this is the season right now for what's called garden squash or courgettes. Courgettes, I think they call them fancy term. Courgettes. It just sounds funny. Courgettes, barrettes, I don't know, whatever. So, but they're called courgettes, and they are considered garden squash. They come in a yellow variety or green variety, and sometimes you'll find them with a variated color skin pattern. You want to you can I like to chop them. I soak my veggies, of course, first all the time, and then I like to slice them lengthways, and then you turn them and slice them lengthways again so they come out like julienne, very similar to the video that I did on Sunday where I showed you that I julienne the peppers. So you're just making long strips. It's a nice term for making long strips out of veggies. um, So you can do that, and then you can mix it with, anything that you'd like, as if you would make pasta, right? Like you would make regular pasta. Um, it almost comes out like a linguine type. It has a linguine look to it. If you have what's called a spiralizer is one of those machines, not a machine, it is, well, it is. It has a handle and you can actually stick the zucchini in and it will actually turn it into long spirals like spaghetti. That's another option. Listen, you that's how you get in, you know, satiation. That's how you get satisfied from eating plant based, but making sure that you're not consuming too much carbs. And I mean, it's a veggie, so it has carbs in it. But it's not carb heavy. So it's a good substitute because you can eat two or maybe even three small to medium zucchinis without thinking about it, and it will not affect your calorie count, right? As opposed to if you eat pasta, the cravings come on even when you consume pasta because, again, the carbs, they create a trigger for you. So Hand of God 242 says, was thinking about trying zucchini pasta. Yes, zucchini pasta, awesome. Um, you can use, you can also use cucumbers. Some cucumbers tend to be a little bit juicier, but that's okay because you can kind of, once you use them in the spiralizer or you chop them so that they look like linguine, you can sit them inside of a strainer and let them drain out after a while, or put them inside of a towel, a nice clean towel, and let them sit. And then you can season them and add in whatever you like. So there are all of these different options, right? Let me see. There are a couple things happening in the chat. So let me see if I could double check. Zucchini noodles. Oh, noodles. I didn't even see the statement about zucchini noodles. Kashia, Sister Kashia. So she says potatoes. I like white potatoes more so red. Is the result the same? The result is very much the same. The result is the same. The fiber is low fibers, so because of that, the body processes the starch and the sugars, and it increases the your blood sugar levels, your blood glucose levels, right? So it's high on the glycemic index. Um, and that's because the starch changes to sugar. Potatoes and heavy carbs has my body blocked, heavy and feeling sleepy. Big mistake switching over to plant based. I rarely eat potatoes. Yep, don't eat them. But I'm serious. Run that experiment with yourself. Eat potatoes for one day. Next day, check your eyes when you get up in the dawning. Um, Also, check your nasal passage, check your throat, and you're gonna see it's coated. All right, consume it for a week, and you'll see it's gonna be worse. It's gonna be worse, and you will feel drained. Right? I know sometimes carbs are important. Don't get me wrong. That's the fuel source for the body. I understand. So you have to have some, but it's important to think about the type. Pardon. That's just an old Volkswagen. And, you know, can you imagine there's still like Volkswagens around? Still. Um, I can't remember. It's the four-door ones with the long back. You could actually lay out in the back. It sounds horrible, y'all. Horrible. It looks old too. So Kriya says pasta can be really bad with that. Okay, we talked a little bit about veggie pasta. Um, yes, very good. Very okay. So you all already cover all of this. I'm just late, right? When you make them, please ring me up. I would love to see that process. Oh, okay, okay. We'll do some of that. I'll definitely do a demo so that I can show you how to do the linguine pasta using cucumbers and zucchini, and even carrots, right? Even carrots. You might be lucky to come across organic but nice chunky carrots. You can actually use them in the spiralizer as well. And it's a handy gadget. It's something that you will utilize throughout the summer, spring and summer months, because You can use it to make noodles out of any vegetable. You could literally chop the ends off of an onion and put it in the spiralizer, and you end up with spirals of onions, right? So, um, you can use it for your celery root, your beets. All right. I am a fan of golden beets as well as the red beets. Golden beets are a little bit bitter, and I like that bitterness to it. It also helps with it's not as sugary as red beets. It's a little bit lower in terms of the sugar content. Now it says I think she might soak them to clean them. Queer. Yeah, I soak to clean. So um, a good cleaning agent would be baking soda and a little bit of vinegar in some water, or baking soda if you don't have vinegar in water. Works wonders. Works. It literally lifts up all of. Maybe you'll have aphids, right? Aphids love to hang out inside of broccoli and the flowerlets and veggies and so on. So putting baking soda with a little vinegar, all those bubbles help to release whatever might be sitting on the vegetable. Ah, ah, yeah. It feels like we're all over the place, but trust me, these are all great tips in terms of just how to keep yourself focused on a healthy lifestyle as it pertains to food. We haven't talked about the emotions and the mental and so on, but the truth is food does affect us emotionally, and it affects our psyche as well. I mean, food is chemical. You have to think about that, and we're filled with chemical reactions. We have hormones being produced off of the lack of food alone will make your body produce a hormone that says eat more, eat more. So tricky, but the body's beautiful. Body's beautiful. Greetings, M Anuel. Peace. Welcome. Sister Kashia says, yeah, I thought to clean and soften maybe. I'm so behind. Oh no, it wasn't a punch buggy, but Kashia says sent me straight back to my childhood summers. Yep. Um, yes, baking soda. Baking soda will definitely help to clean. So I soak most of my veggies in there. If I'm cooking, sometimes I tend not to if I'm going to cook them because they're going to be heated. I try not to, but then in the winter times I really like to have something warm, and every now and then I like pumpkin soup. So you know I'm not a fan of raw pumpkin soup. um, Sister Kashia says, I did not know about baking soda to cleanse produce. We'll be utilizing it. I do use vinegar. Yeah. I noticed that there are lots of plant based cleaners and veggie cleaners and so on. And some of them seem to be very, um, they seem to be clean, right? Not too many chemicals in them. But at the same time, if you can create your own and make your own, why not? You know, a box of a large box of baking soda costs about $3, if so much, right? And white vinegar is all you need because you're not using it necessarily in your food. And if you do, you can use it like sparingly. But white distilled vinegar is fine because all you're using it for is for cleaning. All right, and you can use that same thing to clean, um, your countertops and surfaces as well too. Um, Greetings, Ima Sequoia. Yes, very versatile cleaning agent. That's true. Very, very versatile. So those are some things that I want you to think about. The focus today was kind of like um, caloric density and watching out for it. But for those who are exercising and constantly working out, it's important to make sure that you're satiated and you feel full when you eat. So again, it's okay to eat a carb heavy root veggie every now and then just to make sure that you have sufficient carbs, but pay attention to how you balance it. Just pay attention to how you balance it. And I want you to think about introducing nuts and seeds. I think I started to talk about that like 10 minutes ago, right? Introducing nuts and seeds is it's a critical part of balancing your transition to plant-based, or maybe it's raw, or maybe you're just going plant-based and you'll be cooking mostly. But whether you're raw or high raw or just plant-based, nuts and seeds can greatly increase that caloric density. They have more, they are higher in fat than most of your veggies, double the fat actually. So you want to pay attention to them. You may be tempted when you just begin to really enjoy and dive into greetings, knowledge, said Allah. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Um, yeah, you may be tempted to, soak your cashews and throw them in the blender and just make cashew dip or cashew butter, cashew cheese spread, similar to the turmeric one that I showed you all on Sunday, and eat that every day. The problem is, the problem is, um, that can be that can increase your calorie intake, and what that will do is throw off your goals. Like if you have weight loss goals, or you're focusing on making sure that you eat a certain amount and you're not gaining, um, going in heavy on the cheeses, those nut cheeses and those seed cheeses can be a problem. I will say though, one excellent substitute for nut spreads, if you want to make spreads at all, because you want to, you want your foods to be versatile. Utilize sunflower seeds. high in protein Higher in protein count than cashews are, but lower in caloric density, right? So the one thing is, you don't soak it for too long, because you know what's going to happen. It will get bitter on you. So you want to make sure that you're constantly changing the water. And I like to soak sunflower for much longer. And we'll talk about that. I have another um, midday motivation coming up where we'll get into nuts and seeds and how to soak them, what time, what length of time they should be soaked for. And this is hands-on information. This isn't, oh, someone told me, or this is hands-on information. I can tell you, if you soak your sunflower for too long, it will get bitter, because it has happened to me a lot. And I actually like the bitterness, to tell you the truth. So I'll say this. There's something about bitter that generates an increase in appetite, right? And it just makes me want to eat more good greens, right? So sometimes that's one thing that I love about bitter. We may all sometimes pull back. Oh my gosh, dandelion's too bitter, dandelion roots too bitter, burdock root is too bitter. But the bitter is good because it actually busts open your appetite. The bitterness is a digestive aid as well too. So bitter is good. And the reason you're soaking, so one of the main reasons you're soaking is to help. You'll notice, depending on how long you soak, some of the fat actually is released from the seeds and from the even when you soak cashews. So that's a good thing, because you're getting rid of some of that fat already. That's why I like to soak cashews for an extended period, because it really takes away a lot of the fat. The nutrients kind of stay preserved a bit, but the fat, you get to release some of that fat, interestingly. But with the sunflower, you want to soak it for at least 3 hours, or maybe even 24 hours. If you soak it for 24 hours, please change the water. Every 5 hours, change the water. Don't let it sit, because that's what makes it bitter. One of the best ways to actually blend it and use it to make a nut cheese, or a seed cheese, sorry, is to make sure it sprouts. All right. So we'll talk about that. I'll show you some examples of what that looks like later on. But for now, you can start experimenting with just that alone, sunflower seeds. And they should not cost you $5 and $6 for the organic. They should be $2 to $3 for a pound. They should not be more. If you're buying them for more, you're buying them in the wrong place. So TJ's is the place to go. Uh, just to let you know. Um, Sister Kashi says, give thanks for the knowledge on the cashews. I was concerned about why I was gaining weight and found out it was the cashew cheeses and the snacks and so on. Brazil nut milk is beautiful, but it's also very high in fat content. Actually, Brazil nut is the good thing about Brazil nut is Brazil nuts are higher in fiber content than cashews are. So you'll find that your body actually absorbs less fat. All right, the absorption is slower. So that's a plus. That's a plus. All right, I'm going to close off. I don't have anything else. If you all have more questions for me, I just thought I will share a little bit on that today. We've been on for like 31 minutes. This is good. But I don't see any questions in the chat, so I will close. But before I do, let me read all of the last few comments. Ima Sequoia says the sunflower seed paste you made on the retreat was super tasty. I couldn't stop making it afterwards. So you may, yes, isn't it good? It's finger licking good. And you can put any flavor in there that you want. Anything. If you feel like smoked, put some smoked paprika in there, put some chili peppers, make it hot, put some tomatoes. There's just so many ways to make different versions of a seed patty or a seed spread. But we'll explore more of those and just discover more ways to actually work with different types of nuts and seeds so that way you feel satisfied, and you can walk away and say, you know what, I don't miss this thing or that thing or whatever other thing that you were eating that is no good for you anyway. Right. um Sister Naya says thanks for sharing. I've been trying to add weight. The add weight? By where? All right. Sister Kashia says, I never soak them. I look forward to that midday motivation with them. Of course. Um, yes, dandelion pesto will do some work with pestos as well too. So I'll show you all how to do seed um, pates, nut pates, seed spreads, and the like. Sunflower seeds are $1 at Trader Joe's. Yes, ma'am. That's what I was saying, TJ's, but I didn't want to say the name. You said it for me, so I guess I can say it now. But yeah, they are. They're like $1.99, so they're very inexpensive. And you're going to see the seed coat come off of it. Because once you start soaking nuts and seeds, the seed coat expands and it comes off. You could throw that out, especially if you change the water regularly. The seed coats kind of um, surfaces on the top of the water, and you can scrape that off and get rid of it. So this is and the more you listen, the more you work with nuts and seeds and soak and so on, you get to see how very different they are, right? They function differently, they taste differently when they're soaked. Um, and the beauty about seeds, using seeds specifically, is that they begin to sprout. Almonds are the same. Almonds begin to sprout. They begin to sprout a little knob on the top. It looks like, so the almond looks like it has this little point or a little spare head, and you're like, oh wow! If I actually drop this in soil, it would start growing and sprouting. You could actually grow sprouts from alfalfa seeds and from sunflower seeds as well too. You can make your own sunflower sprouts. You don't have to pay $7 and $8 for the little pints of them. You could literally grow them from the regular seed. uh, what about pumpkin seeds? So pumpkin seeds are, let me tell you, pumpkin seeds are high in protein as well, high in bees, and you can tell. Remember the last time we spoke about, I think it was, which herb was it? Oat straw. And I was saying to you that oat straw is so mineral dense, and if you make the tea and you leave the tea out for too long, even if it's just within one day, you're going to find that it begins to smell. Anytime you see a food or an herb that has such an adverse, like a strong scent or smell, is because it is super potent. It is rich in nutrients and vitamins and minerals. So with pumpkin seeds, the same thing can happen. It will get, if you soak it for too long, it will turn bad very quickly. So pumpkin seeds are really good. You want to get the ones that are green, and try not to purchase the toasted ones. Try to purchase the raw ones. You may soak them. They won't sprout very easily. They won't sprout very easily. I'm not sure why. I don't know if it's the way they process it. And some almonds will not sprout because a couple years ago, you could get raw almonds, but for many places now you can't, because there was a law issued in California requiring that all almonds be blanched, because there was some sort of mold that many people were having allergic reactions to, um, because specifically from raw almonds. So they require now that most of the almonds that are processed and sold in the United States are actually um, blanched. And blanch is just that quick heating process to, you know, remove or kill any bacteria that may be lingering on the nut or in the seed coat or on the skin and so on. So most of them, but I have had a few from TJ's, from that place that Sequoia just mentioned, um, and they do grow. They grow a little sprout. I haven't been able to grow a full um, plant from it. I have with the sunflower seeds, interestingly, but not necessarily with the almond. So for pumpkin seeds, you want to soak them. You'll soak them for a lot less longer, maybe an hour and a half or an hour for pumpkin seeds, making sure to change the water more than once, because remember, you're soaking to soften, but you're also soaking to activate, right? The water actually activates the enzymes in the seeds, and that's what actually initiates the growing, right? So that's why you can see the sprout growing and so on, because the water actually deactivates an enzyme and activates other enzymes. So, um, yeah, that's pumpkin seeds. I tend to enjoy it with stronger flavors like sage, for example, rosemary, because pumpkin seeds is very harsh. It's a very ha- it's a very strong, not harsh. It's a very strong flavor of nut to make a pate with, and I'll share one of those that I have. I got it from a Peruvian recipe that I discovered that focused on using, nuts and seeds as medicine, healing medicine, and consuming your medicine as everyday food. I came across it, and they use a lot of rosemary and sage, and I think they had tarragon in there too. It's a weird combination because tarragon is kind of like an Italian thing, but they use a lot of heavy um, flavored herbs or spices. I don't know if that was helpful to you all. I appreciate you all for jumping in and being in the space. It's 1:24, so this is way beyond midday. Motivation. This is way beyond midday, but thank you all for joining. Like, share, subscribe, share the video if it brought value to you, and come back again. See you all on Thursday. Have another surprise for you all on Thursday. And on Sunday, of course, join us, because I think the food demos are going to be taking over, y'all. We're going to be doing some more of those. Peace and power to you. Wellness is yours. Hold on to it. Hold on to it. It's yours. I got you. Peace.